Good morning, my Real News Media TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning, woman dead after 6 shot in Cassava P, St. Andrew. 6 people were shot, 1 fatally, in a gun attack at a shop in Cassava P, St. Andrew on Wednesday night. It is understood that around 7:30 p.m., people were gathered at a shop in a lane in the community when gunmen alighted from a vehicle and opened fire at the gathering before escaping. After the shooting, 6 people were found suffering from gunshot wounds. They were taken to a hospital where one of the victims, a female said to be a shopkeeper, was pronounced dead. The news will have more information as it becomes available. Trelawney cops are seeking vendor who used the knife to slash 2 high school students. The Falmouth police are seeking a cotton candy vendor who fled the scene after allegedly slashing 2 Milholland High School students with a knife during an altercation Wednesday afternoon. Preliminary reports are that about 4 p.m., the 2 students were on their way home when the incident between themselves and the vendor occurred under the overpass bridge on the Martha Bray to Falmouth roadway. A knife was brought into play and the students were wounded. The knife wielder reportedly fled the scene before the police arrived. The students were taken to hospital where they are expected to be treated and released. Porus High student stabbed reportedly over $200. A 16-year-old Porus High School student has been hospitalized after he was stabbed allegedly by his schoolmate during an altercation on the school grounds on Wednesday afternoon. Preliminary reports from the police are that sometime before 5 p.m., the teenager was on the school compound when he and another student had an argument, reportedly over $200. The argument escalated into a physical confrontation when one student pushed the other and a ratchet knife was used to stab the schoolboy in his side. He was rushed to the Mandeville Regional Hospital where he has been stabilized by doctors and admitted. Curfew imposed in Manchester communities. A curfew has been imposed in several Manchester communities as police try to stem violence and reprisals for recent murders. Head of the Manchester Police, Deputy Superintendent Kerry Duncan, told the journalist that the curfew started earlier this week. There are some curfews imposed in sections of Manchester, in the Poor Space, Clarkstown, Redbury and the Trinity, as also in the Mandeville Space, Midday, Newhall, and the areas to surround that general local, he said on Wednesday. These curfews are important in order to clamp down on some activities that we have been having. I just want to ask the general public to be understanding where we are concerned, just to know that whatever we are embarking on now is to make your community safer and better, he added. He explained that the nightly curfews will continue for as long as necessary. Today marks the beginning of a second 48-hour curfew in these spaces, so far as long as we deem it to be relevant. As long as the risk still exists, then we will be having these curfews, he said. He reminded citizens that it is a crime to harbor fugitives. I am going to also encourage the persons in these communities, that persons within your space that are committing atrocities, we ask you not to shield them, not to shelter them. Reach out to us, he said. Mentally ill inmates denied release from prison. Judge criticizes state for lack of appropriate facilities. The state has come in for sharper criticism from Supreme Court Judge Leighton Pusey over its failure to adequately address the issues faced by inmates suffering from mental disorders. A special recommendation was made by the judge for the authorities to adhere to the recommendations of the Mental Health Inquiry Committee report and to put in place penal psychiatric institutions to care for inmates with severe mental illnesses, providing a safe and therapeutic environment. Applications by the Legal Aid Council for the Supreme Court to release 6 inmates with mental disorders who were unfit to plead were refused because Pusey found that there were no appropriate accommodations for them. The judge said further that they could not secure the assistance of any state or private institutions or any family members to aid them in this time of need. The applications were refused, and the inmates who were originally detained at the Governor General's pleasure were ordered by Pusey to be detained at the court's pleasure. The failure of the state to adequately address the issues faced by mentally disordered inmates may suggest a missed opportunity by the state to better support some of its most vulnerable citizens, Pusey said. He also referred to the Mental Health Act, which was designed specifically to address issues concerning citizens with mental disorders, and emphasized that the act had been criticized in the report of the Mental Health Inquiry Committee for its underutilization in those circumstances. The Mental Health Act confers broader powers on the Minister of Health and other public officials, which could play a pivotal role in addressing many of the challenges faced by the applicants and the similarly situated inmates, Pusey said. The circumstances of the inmates were highlighted in the tragic case of inmate Noel Chambers, 81, who was denied for 40 years because he was unfit to plead in relation to a murder charge. He died at the Tower Street Adult Correctional Facility on January 27, 2020. Pusey pointed out in the judgment handed down last month that the court had expressed its willingness to consider releasing the applicants under certain conditions, as it had done in previous cases. He said several adjournments were granted to the Legal Aid Council, which represented the applicants, to seek appropriate accommodations for them because the correctional facilities were ill-equipped to meet the needs of the applicants. However, after almost 2 years of adjournment, Pusey said the court provided one final opportunity for the council to secure suitable arrangements, but regrettably, despite their efforts and assistance from others, including the Office of the Public Defender, the Legal Aid Council was unable to find appropriate accommodations. The judge said the applicants could not secure the assistance of any state or private institutions or any family members to aid them. The court acknowledges that the issues involved in these cases are sensitive and multifaceted. It emphasizes the need for an approach that balances the interest of the applicants and those in the public. Given the circumstances, the court believes that this approach does not support the unconditional release of the applicants. Although correctional facilities are ill-equipped to meet the needs of the applicants, they offer a more suitable environment than releasing them into the unknown without any means of self-care. Such a release would perpetuate a cycle of neglect, which would significantly deteriorate their mental health and potentially harm society at large, Pusey held. The judge said he wanted to make it clear that the court was not indicating that the conditions in the correctional facilities were good or ideal for the applicants. Rather, the court considers the correctional facilities to be a less bad solution than releasing them without supervision and resources. Pusey further recommended that there should be enhanced cooperation among the Ministry of Health, Ministry of National Security, and other relevant government agencies to create a comprehensive management strategy for mentally disordered inmates. The judiciary stands ready, willing, and able to assist in creating the legal framework by providing the requisite orders and the supervisions for these persons, the judge said. Attorneys at law Dan Watson and Brian Forsyth, instructed by the Legal Aid Council, represented the inmates. Rex was the respondent and was represented by Crown Counsel Leinster Lewis Mead and Ashley Innes, instructed by the Director of Public Prosecutions. Attorneys at law Stephanie Ebanks and Roshane Clark watched the proceedings on behalf of the Department of Correctional Services. Guys, thanks for watching. Please join us this afternoon at 2 p.m. for another news update.